I am going to take next few hours to run through some of the key modules that most of you leverage to drive your business. Some of these modules you may not use, which is fine. Some of them may be brand new to you and you're like, I didn't even know that Grapevines did that. We hear that quite a bit, believe it or not. The aim of today is to give you some real highlights and best practices on each one of these key modules so that you can make a good decision about, hey, can I use this in my business, number one? Number two, if I am using this in my business already, how can I take advantage of some of these best practices to even do it better, okay? So the first module, we'll call it, that we want to start with is all about goal setting, goal management, and I'm a big believer that, if you don't set a goal and publish it, you're probably not going to get to where you want to be. That's always been my philosophy, and that's part of the methodology we're trying to drive here with our goal module and how you take that through and translate that into action plans to go out and achieve it, okay? I love this quote, but I like the second sentence part of it better, right? Which is either you run your day or the day runs you. Either you run your business or the business runs you. And I have lived this. I believe this to be very, very true. Goals are a way to help you determine for your teams what's important and have them focus on it so that you can execute. And that way you're executing your strategy instead of executing a lot of other stuff, okay? So that's the mission behind this. One of the first things to consider when you're talking about goals and objectives for your teams are, to get strategic, right? About what drives your business. And set goals for those things, right? A lot of times in the past, in our industry, we known that, boy, if I could really get more displays on Valentine's Day for my rosé, right, I could sell a lot of cases. We knew that to be true. But you didn't have a great way of managing that activity, right? You would have loved to set a goal, and maybe you did. Hey, go get these displays in these key stores for this rosé for Valentine's Day. And you didn't have a good way to execute it, right? Someone would go in, they'd get the display, and they'd email their boss, right? I got the display here. At the end of the month, they turn in a tracker. How many people have used the old tracker forms in Excel to track what people are doing or what kind of activities have been going on against a specific program? Well, hopefully our vision and our aim is to allow you to set the goals that you've always wanted to be able to set and manage them better, right? Start to finish. To get better execution against those things that are important. So what I like to think about too when we're talking about goals is leading versus lagging indicators, right? If you ask an economist, boy, what's the economy going to look like next year? They actually look at leading indicators, and they'll say, well, the housing market, right, or we're selling a lot more houses than we did before, right? Or they're looking at other metrics that are indicators of where the economy will be. And this is the same concept that I think makes sense to use when you're talking about your business, right? You know that a display on Valentine's Day for rosé is going to drive your business. Do you give a goal to a rep that says, sell 800 cases in February and leave? Which is typical? Or do you say, get 10 displays in these 10 key accounts for rosé in the front of the store, by January 19th? Knowing that, if you get the displays, the volume will come, right? That's the concept behind this. Now, you can use our tool to set all kinds of goals, including the volume goals, which there's nothing wrong with. But listen, here's a great example, right? We know that if I get my bourbon brand on a menu in a steakhouse in a Manhattan, did I use the Manhattan example? No, an old fashioned. We know that account is on average going to deplete about 2.5 cases a month, compared to another steakhouse or that steakhouse that does not have us on the menu, we might do half a case a month, okay? If you have that insight, set a goal to do exactly that and drive that business. So let me show you how we do this with our tool. Obviously, you know, setting goals for these leading indicators helps you build a sustainable business over time. There's no dumping. It's not, I made my 800 case rosé goal by dumping, you know, an extra 100 cases in an account. It happens, right? We get that. But this helps limit that, right? Set a goal for the display instead of the volume. And so, you know, you're really, you know, this is a chart I made, it's goofy, but, you know, I know that getting menus in a steakhouse is hard, right? What's the laser, the middle? Okay. But let's pretend here I've got a goal. And I don't know, it's sell 3 cases of bourbon in January, right? The rep that goes out and sells an extra case to 3 of his accounts, right? He made his number. But the guy that sold a menu in to the steakhouse, he got 3 cases on that one order. And guess what? In February, they reordered. Why? Because it's on the menu, it's pulling through. And you know what? Maybe they even bought again in March, because we know we get a couple of cases a month when they're on the menu. These other accounts, all I did was mortgage my business. They didn't buy again until March, right? And there's less turn from the consumer side. Now, I know that setting goals this way at the top has its place, and you need to do that kind of thing, especially distributors. But the more you can do this kind of thing, the better off you're going to be, right? So let's talk about how you can set goals for all these types of things. In our sales goal module, we can set goals for all different things that you can imagine. Listen, you can set goals for, if you're a supplier, your shipments to distributors. You can set goals for your depletions, your summary depletions from distributors. You can set goals for your sales to retail, your RAD data, right? You're a distributor, you can set goals for sales orders, right? Your sales to retailers. But you can measure volume, you can measure revenue, but you can also measure account level data around accounts sold and even points of distribution, right? And on top of that, you've got lots of flexibility with metrics. You can set goals for a quantity, a percentage. I'm going to talk about unsolds, right? New accounts sold versus an unsold period, with minimum quantities and all kinds of other great things that you need to take a look at and make sure everyone's aware. I want to make sure everyone's aware of them. So first, let's talk about activity goals. Is that my next slide? Yes. Activity goals. Here's where we get into some of these leading indicators, okay? You can set goals for, Jim said we have 15 different objects, that activities you can put stuff again, and we actually can rename them and reuse them. So you can create anything you want. But things like menus, displays, staff trainings, promotional events or tastings, presentations, cold box placements, retail ad features, you name it, okay? You can set goals for all those things. You can measure how many of these do I have currently running, or how many new ones did we get? And you can count the number of activities, or you can count the number of accounts that have done these activities, right? And even things like percentage of accounts. If I've got a key account rep and he's got 100 accounts that he calls on, I can do some analysis and I can say, you need to sell 20%, you need to get on the menu in 20% of your accounts, things of that nature, okay? We can also set goals against surveys. Now, not everybody leverages surveys within Grapevines, and we're going to talk more about surveys later. But if you do, you may want to set goals around surveys, survey points that you've earned, or survey scores. There's a difference. Points means you add up all the total number of points you got, right, on all your surveys. A score means how many points did I earn divided by the total possible points, right? So it's literally a score. And we think that setting goals against scores and points are great if it fits your methodology, and we've got people doing it, and it's wonderful. So we're gonna talk to you and show you that later. But now on top of these different goal types, you've got all these different attributes you can layer in on the goal, right? Things like obviously time period, right? Start and end dates. But geography, okay? What market, region, territory, state, et cetera. But also people. Who am I assigning the goals to? I can assign goals to sales reps, and I can assign different goals to managers. I can assign different goal to a key account rep. And then accounts. I can set goals by account segment or account premise type, chain versus independent, or even an account set, which we're not going to dive into too much here today, but an account set is a way for you to come up with a grouping of accounts, a custom grouping that you guys say, hey, these are my key Chardonnay accounts. Do some research and analytics, find those accounts, and boom, create a set and say, here's my key Chardonnay accounts. I can set goals for that set of accounts, okay? So you can be highly strategic about that. And then, of course, products, any product, right? Brand, label, item, size, or a set of products that aren't normally linked in your hierarchy, right? I can take all my Chardonnays and put them in a product set and set a goal for all my Chardonnays, okay? So lots of flexibility here. But the real exciting part is about leveraging historical data we call reference data while you're setting your goals, okay? And I'm going to demonstrate this to you. So this is really where some of the secret sauce comes in with the solution, right? And this is the magic of how you can now, you leverage historical data to set smart goals. We all know the old twoper, right? New products coming out. Everybody's got to get 2 new points of distribution, right? Everybody, it's a twoper. Okay, I get that. But is that really the right way to set a goal for a new product you're introducing, right? You're not telling the rep where to sell the product and not giving them credit against the goal for selling it to the specific channel or segment that you want. So this really helps you do that. So number one, with the leveraging of the historical reference data, you're able to, in real time, look at this historical data as you're setting the goal for your goal period. You can use reference data from any product. Maybe it's the same product. Maybe it's a different product you want to use as reference data. Okay, I'm going to show you what I mean. And the time periods you use as your reference time period are completely flexible. There's different metrics you can apply then to say, hey, based on this reference data, here's what I want my goals to be. Boom, and make the calculation. So I'm going to show you how this stuff works. And that metric can do things like just set a number, like, hey, get 5 of these, or you can do it based on a % change versus the reference period, or a number change versus the reference period, and also add in minimum quantities and maximum quantities, right? So you get very detailed about the way you're setting your goals. So let me give you a couple quick examples, and then we're going to get in the demo. I could say, hey, I want you to grow your Griffin Bay gin volume by 15% versus the same period last year, okay? And by the way, everybody's got to do a minimum of 10 cases. That's a standard goal at the distributor level, and we've heard all the time. So, oh geez, here I go again. This is an example, right? So I'm comparing my Griffin Bay volume from last year, January through December, and I'm setting a goal for my Griffin Bay volume this year with a % change, okay? So % change versus the volume on this product last year, right? Easy stuff. Here's another one. Grow your Griffin Bay gin accounts sold to 100% of your Griffin Bay rum product from last year, right? So now you're setting a goal for your gin, basing it on performance that happened on another product, a like product that you want to try to emulate. And so you can see how this would play out, right? This is against the gin. Oh man, this is against. Oh boy, it is. Oh boy, sorry guys. All right, so I'm not going to do too much of this more clicking. Here's another one. Sell Griffin Bay gin to 20% of your unsold accounts for the last 3 months, right? And by the way, minimum 3 bottle placement to qualify, and only in nightclubs, okay? It's pretty strategic, pretty smart way to set a goal, right? So that's all possible here. One more. Get Griffin Bay menus in 10% of the accounts that you sold Griffin Bay gin to in the last 3 months. And do that in only fine dining accounts. and everybody has to get at least 2, right? These are the things you can do. Survey scores are the last one. I can say things like, hey, I want you to increase your Griffin Bay Gin survey score, right? Total points you earned divided by total possible points from all of your accounts that you surveyed, that you own. I want you to grow that score by 20%, all right? Minimum score, you got to do at least 50. Got to do at least 50, as the score, and only in AAA liquor stores, right? So that's a good example of how you can do survey goals that are pretty effective. So let me jump over and try to demo the goal tool. I hope this works well. Okay. I'm in the browser here in Grapevines. By the way, I'm in Lightning. You guys see that okay? Okay. I'm in the browser. I'm in Lightning. Looks pretty different. Looks a little cleaner, right? How do you guys like Lightning? It's some of you the first time you've seen it? Anybody? Yeah? Let's pretend I want to set a brand new goal. Before I do that, I'm going to open one up here and show it to you. Here's the goal record with some key information about the goal plan itself, and then all the different goals that are assigned. And I'm going to go now into the admin screen just to show you as you're building a goal what it kind of looks like. And this is the interface, right? So you're giving it a name, a description, what type of goal is it, what user level are you assigning it to. And then on the left side, hey, here's all my goal information. This is an on-premise goal for Griffin Bay Tequila. It's an account sold, new account sold goal during this period, minimum quantities. And over here's my reference data, right? So my reference is these have to be new accounts sold based on being unsold of my tequila from the 3 months prior, right? So, or 2 months. November and December unsolds, right, are my target account list, right? And I've got to go out and sell these unsold accounts. So that's a decent example of a goal. Let me go ahead and create one for you real fast. I'm going to give this a name. Let's just say this is I'll do a volume goal. Volume of Jones Chard. I'm going to leave it at that. And required fields, etc. This is a RAD or STR goal. I'm setting this at the transaction owner level. You can see I can set it at the account owner. I can set it by territory, right, which is market, region, division, company, or even for a distributor. Your guys, they have distributors that haul on, small little patches. So you can set these goals at any of these levels. I'm just going to do transaction owner here. And I come down and fill out my, attributes on the goal, right? This is for on-premise accounts only. I want to sell my Jones Family Chard or Jones Chard and look up to that. And I can set my time frame, right? I want this to run from March 1st until the end of March. And again, is this going to be an account sold goal, a point of distribution goal, a volume goal, a revenue goal, a new account sold goal, or a new points of distribution goal, right? And let's just say I'm doing volume here, and I want to do it in 9-liter cases. I could do physical cases if I wanted to. My reference period, right? I'm going to do on-premise. So I'm going to copy a lot of this. I'm going to do my Jones Chardonnay as my reference brand, the same brand. And I want to do the same time period last year, okay? So I'm just going to go in here and say 3/1/2018 and 3/31/2018. Okay, so that's the same time period last year. And again, I want to see how many physical cases were done. And now I'm ready to move on. I can save this goal and assign it. Once I've done that, I can find the people I want to give the goal to. And we've got a whole wizard here to pick people. I can look them up by geography or their profile or their role in the company, or just pick them by name. Right? We've got lots of different ways to filter this down. I'm going to look for every rep. I can do this by sales division, by manager. We get very granular to be able to do this for distributors. I search, and by the way, here's my 10 people that I want to add, set this goal for. I'm going to add them to the plan. So now I can go ahead and set the goal for them. Here's where we start to use the reference data. Okay. Down below my goal, I have all my 10 people. I picked a very bad product, obviously, because nobody has sold any Jones Chardonnay during last March. Why did I do that? Our data is very bad, by the way. I could change it. Should I change it?
Do it for the year.
What's that?
Do it for the whole year.
Okay. I don't even know if we've done that, Kara, to be honest. I don't know if this is a new brand or an old brand. I should have picked something I knew. All right, let's open up the time frame here and update my goal. I'm going to recalculate everything. What you're going to see is, on the left, obviously, the people's name. And on the right is, drum roll, yay, how many cases that person did during that time period from the reference side, okay? Now, here's where we get interesting. I can apply a metric. I can say, you know what, just set the goal for 5 for everybody. Right? You could easily do that. Or I can come in and adjust the goal. I'm going to adjust it for everybody. I'm going to say my minimum goal. I'm looking here, right? And I'm seeing how many cases people have done. I'm going to say, gee, 2 cases, that's nothing. I'm going to set a minimum. Everybody's got to do at least 5 cases, right? But on top of that, as a minimum, I want everyone to grow by 25% and apply. Drum roll. What did I do wrong? Sorry, let me refresh my page. And it's going to apply a 25% increase versus that reference time period and set the new goal for that, set the goal for that list of users for you then to either go back in and tweak, right? You could easily edit each one and make minor adjustments. Or you can, Yep, it's set the goal. There we go. So now I gave everybody a 25% increase, right? And I didn't put a minimum on. I could have, right? And that would have made this one a minimum of 2. So you can see how you can get the flexibility here. One more thing is I can also do something which is crazy, which is I not only can use just one piece of reference data, I could use multiple. I could say I also want to do both how many cases they sold and how many accounts they have. I don't know. Let me just do an update. And then over here on the right, you're going to see the reference period number of cases and the reference period number of accounts sold. And you can use that, right, to try to make good decisions about the goal that you're giving, right? Like this person has sold 1 case, well, this is how many cases they have. They have 23 accounts. They only sold 1 case. Maybe I want to give them more. Right? So that's how the goal interface works. So moving on to the next step, after you get your goal set, a key piece of this is to be able to give visibility to people of what their goals are and give it to them embedded in the application and make it in the mobile app, right? So I'm not in the mobile app, but the dashboards are the same. Here's an example, right? I can say, let me just find a time period where I know I've got some goals set. Yeah, so all my goals that were ending in June, right? Here they are. I can see it by goal. What kind of goal is it? What premise type is it against? What product is it for? What's my goal? What's our result? Percent achieved? And even the number of reps that have achieved it, right? So if you're a manager. So you're getting some really good, level of detail here about what your goals are, okay? Now, you might look at this and say, wow, I'm supposed to get new pods for Jones Chardonnay. Actually, I should filter this to a person. Let me try this person and get something more specific here. So I'm going to show you later at the end when we do our analytics demonstration, best practices around dashboard design and the story that your dashboard should tell for your users, right? It's not good enough to just put up 1 million dashboard pages with all kinds of different data on them and make people try to figure out where to go to find things. tell a story, right? Start with the highlights and then drill through and get to that insight at the end that you can take action on. That's the whole idea. So here's a person, you know, she's got to do 5 new pods for Jones Chardonnay, right? And I think I'm on the right dashboard to drill through here. When she drills through, she can see, great, that's her goal. All right, let me go on. She can click through again. And this is, I can't see this, Allison. Allison, right, has 18 accounts. And she has sold 1, 2, 3, 4. She's sold 5 of them. We already said that, right? She had a pod goal of get 5. Well, they're the 5 that she already has. So she can see by account what her results are. Accounts sold, volume, revenue, new pods. And by the way, we're going to talk about objectives in a minute. You can also see if she has an open objective to try to accomplish something in this account. Okay, so this gives you a good idea about where you need to go to get your goals accomplished and achieved. So I want to show you something we're moving to, and it's not on this dashboard though. I wish I knew which dashboard it was on. We've got a customer using something. I just want to see if it's on this or not. Yeah. So we've got another way to do this as well, which is we're going to be making more generally available. Let me find my Napa so I can just filter this so you can see it better. So here's another way we're now starting to tell people based on their goals, here's where their opportunities are so they can start to plan where they should be going to achieve the goal. This is an example of, okay, great, I've got a new pod goal, sorry, a new account sold goal for my Napa Valley Reserve, Merlot. Here's all my accounts. If it's green, it means it's an opportunity. It means it's unsold during the reference period. If it's black, it means don't count. It's not unsold, right? So here now I can start to do what we call, the Swiss cheese report. So you can imagine if you had all of your goals across the top for new accounts sold by product, you'd be able to look at one account and go all the way across and see where your opportunities were and to achieve your goals in that account for this time period, okay? So those are the types of reporting we're getting to and we're rolling out. So I want to show you one other thing. We've talked a little bit about how, and I think I'm going to just go back to my presentation here. We've talked about setting goals that help you deliver your strategic objectives. Where are we? But here's the question. How do we turn those goals you just set for the person into an action plan, right? Into an account plan. That's an action plan for that account so that you deliver your goal. We call those objectives, okay? An objective is an account level thing that you want to accomplish. And it can be related to a product. In this case, I'm going to show you related to a product and even related to a goal. Okay, so when someone says, hey, you got a goal to get 10 new pods this month on your rosé, where are you going to go to get those? You as a rep should be setting objectives in at least 10 accounts where you are going to go and try to achieve that thing. Okay, and hopefully you get them all. If not, you got a few left over. So here comes the question. How do you turn the goals into objectives? All right, I got to do 10. I got to figure out which accounts and all that. So one of the things we're doing to close the loop on that is we call this the Goal Objective Creator. Worst name ever. I'm not in present mode, am I? There we go. Okay, so first of all, these objectives give you visibility right to where you need to go. I like to say, plan your work and work your plan. In other words, plan your objectives by account and go work those objectives, okay? If you do that, you make your number, right? You make your goals. And so you can see all your objectives, obviously, in list views and what have you. But we've got something new that we haven't put a lot of development effort into, but we've got some people using it, and it doesn't look great, but bear with us because we're improving the look and feel of it, and it's going to be part of this sort of account planning work we're doing. So what this enables you to do, this screen enables you to do, is to come up here where's my pointer, and say, show me, all my account sold goals that are for this time period. And you'll get a list of them here, right? And you can say, great, let's look at my Napa Reserve Merlot new account sold goal. When you click on it, what it's going to do is give you a list of all of your accounts that you're responsible for, right, that are eligible or opportunities for this goal. Remember I showed you that Swiss cheese report? Okay, this list of accounts is filtered to show you only your unsold accounts from the reference period. So now I'm looking at all my accounts that are options or opportunities for me to go to get this done, and I can simply check and say, I'm going to go here, 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 and here to try to get these new points of distribution, okay? Once you do that, you go next, and it says, okay, great. You want to set an objective in all those accounts to do that goal, and it auto-populates all this for you. Gives you the accomplished by date, which is the end of the goal period. You could put in a next step if you want, but it basically writes this up for you. And you say, yep, that's the objective I want to create in all these goals, and say next, and it does it. It creates a goal, it creates an objective to do that thing related to that goal in all the accounts that you checked, all right? Assigns them to you with the right dates. Okay? So now you've turned a goal into an action plan of where you're going to go get it, make it happen. Okay? You guys like that? Okay. Cool. The next big piece is great. You've got all your objectives. You got to work your plan, right? And in the mobile app, we've shown you how you can look at lists of all my open objectives, look at them by account, look at when they're due, by type, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're in the mobile field, you should be able to work your plan, right, and get your stuff done. And then this stuff, you got to measure everything, right? Plan, execute, measure. You execute the objectives, you got to measure them, right? And now I can see, hey, how many open objectives do I have? And, in what accounts? And look at these things in reports and dashboards, right, to give you more global pictures of things. And one of the great things is what we managers are going to love is you can see how many objectives have been set by a person related to a goal, and compare that. So if I know that the rep has a goal to get 10 new points of distribution for a rosé, and they only have 4 open objectives, you ain't making your number this month, are you? You don't even know where to go, right? I think it's going to be really powerful, and we're just starting to leverage some of this with some of our customers, so I'm excited to make it more broadly available. So, having said all that, Matt, sorry, I should have given you warning. I told him like 6 months ago, I'm going to have you come up. Do you mind? Just have a cool conversation at the summit. But everyone, Matt is a little bit like our host because he works for Empire Merchants, distributor here in New York. Matt and I actually worked together in the past. He's held various roles at Empire, from sales management all the way up to now where he is managing sort of all the brand or business managers across the company to deliver some consistency, and they are really leveraging the Grapevines platform there to be able to execute better as a company in New York, and having a lot of success. So thanks, Matt. Appreciate you being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So I came up with some dumb questions, but how important is the goal-setting process for Empire? I know that it's a union house, and goals are really important to get people to do what you need, right?
Starting out with SMART goals is obviously really critical to our success. We have 14 different selling divisions, servicing over 200 suppliers and 9,000 accounts. So every single territory and every single division is a little bit different. So how we set our goals really will drive the priorities for our reps, make sure that they get SMART goals, meaning they have enough opportunities to succeed in their territory versus the brands we're asking them to sell. As Tim mentioned, we are a union house, so we have a very detailed collective bargaining agreement, and Grapevine's tool really makes sure and forces us to have the same systematic approach across all the divisions and even within the divisions, so to make sure that every single rep is being treated fairly and being goaled correctly in terms of the collective bargaining agreement. And it really does drive our priorities with our suppliers, which obviously is our number one priority.
Right. Great, well, thanks. So how have your goals evolved over time? I mean, you've been there for a while now. How are they getting smarter?
When I first started Empire, 10, 11 years ago, it was strictly cases, revenue, distribution. Over time, between different suppliers driving priorities in terms of qualitative execution, we evolved and would start to track displays. But tracking displays meant, 40 sales reps sending in 5 pictures each, and an FSM or a sales manager sitting there on a Thursday counting how many displays counted and how many didn't, and then updating it the next morning, and then communicating that to all the divisions. That's a lot of work. With the help of Grapevines, we can roll up a display program nightly. The reps know where they are, where they got to still get to. So it's really helped us evolve in terms of speed to market and speed to execution.
You're also using a survey tool, get these KPI questions out and assigning points to them and leveraging even goals against your scores for people.
Yeah, so over time, over the last couple of years with the help of Grapevines, obviously we have goals, cases, and revenue and distribution, but we've also set up key performance indicators in the stores and in the on-premise, where we have roughly 30 questions and basically track things like displays, shelf sets, menus, cocktail lists, staff training, et cetera, which has really helped us drive the qualitative execution over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm not trying to toot Grapevine's horn or making this into a sales presentation, but we do work with a lot of suppliers, and we do hear things about which distributors execute better than others based on their capabilities. And we do know that some distributors send in PowerPoint, presentations 3 months after a program with anecdotal results, right, about how well they executed a particular initiative. And we've heard from certain suppliers about how well Empire has been able to execute. They're getting, great visibility into their results, but they're also being extremely strategic about the types of goals they're executing. So from a strategic partnership standpoint, I think Empire has set themselves apart, no exclusion to anyone else, being able to execute for their suppliers and to deliver great results. So kudos to you for having the vision to turn your whole company into the right model.
Well, for us, I think it was starting off with the right partner with you guys in Grapevines, because from day one, the tool always worked. So there's always confidence in the tool. And then getting the reps to believe in the program and the platform, delivering for the suppliers has really helped.
Great. Good. Well, Matt, thanks very much for joining me up here.
Thank you.
And appreciate it. We'll be on to the next one. Give Matt a hand. Thanks, Matt. Everyone understands, look, objectives are the way you come up with your plan in the account, right? Now, there's a lot of, if you know our tool, there's a lot of different ways to create objectives. And honestly, it's been part of the confusion that I think has stymied some of our customers' ability to execute better. Our fault, because we've made the tool so configurable and flexible that, boy, you can set objectives any old way. And sometimes it becomes unclear what's the right methodology to use. And we're getting better about trying to prescribe to our customers, this is how you should use objectives, right? We're getting better about that, and I'm happy to have more conversations about that. But I do, for the sake of showing you what's possible in the risk of potentially confusing you, I do want to let you know there are other ways to set objectives, right? From that goal objective tool was one way, right? It's a neat way to do it. But there's plenty of other ways. As a rep, I can walk into an account and I can create an objective for myself to do something, right, in the next 2 months. My manager could create an objective for me on the fly, right? Those are common and easy things to do. But there's other methods around setting objectives more globally and pushing them down, if you will, to the reps or people in the field. All right? And we call that creating an objective plan, meaning stating something that you want to do, and then figuring out which accounts that the company wants to do that objective in, and boom, mass assigning objectives to everyone in those accounts to go and do that thing. And it's a great tool, and it's underutilized. But I want to show you a little bit about how you could use it, if this is something that you might like. So within Grapevines, you are, first, there's two ways to do this. I'm going to show you. One is when you're creating an objective plan, put in what you want the objective to be, and then when you're ready to assign it, there's a screen called the Find Account screen. You can find accounts that meet all this criteria and set the goals, or set the objectives in those accounts. That's one way. The other way is do some deep analytics in Good Data, in our dashboards, right? Sold, not sold, accounts that have a menu but no staff training. I mean, do whatever your secret sauce is in your analytics to find accounts that you want to do something in, and take that, extract that list, and I'll show you how. It's an extra step, but you can extract that into a file and immediately upload it and attach it to the objective plan and create the objectives in those accounts. So you got two ways to do it at the moment. We're trying to make this more seamless in the future, okay? Let me show you the, first you create your master objective, right? We know that. Next is, you're not gonna be able to read this, so I want to point something out. When you're on the Find Account screen, right? So I created my master objective. Now I can pick what markets to assign these, find accounts within a certain market. I can do my segmentation, on-premise, fine dining, etc. I can even use any other account attribute that you have living on your account. AA volume account, or that's in Hoboken, New Jersey, by address, by zip code. Whatever attribute lives on the account, you can leverage here to filter to find the right accounts. And you're using those account attributes to decide who to assign it to, which is great. So every on-premise fine dining account in Hoboken, I can create an objective in to go and do a staff training, right? However, there is one more piece that's pretty cool, which is, that doesn't get used a lot. If you've done a survey and you've got, wide and pretty broad, adoption of people taking the survey in the account, and you've got all this survey data and you're thinking to yourself, boy, I really want to use some of that survey data to figure out which accounts I should go and do this objective in. You can do that now in line in the Find Accounts piece. So the survey data is fully integrated into the Find Accounts. So I can say find accounts in Hoboken that are fine dining, whatever. And then I can also say, geez, not again. Okay, and then I can also say, on surveys that were taken between this date and this date, where the question answered was, is this in distribution for my Griffin Bay tequila? And the answer was yes. Filter all those accounts I just found that meet that criteria. And the ones that have said yes, where they're in distribution, where the number of cocktail listings for Griffin Bay tequila is greater or is less than 1, means they have distribution and no cocktail menu. Filters again. I can then select all those accounts and create an objective plan to go get menus in these accounts where you have distribution but no menu, based on your survey data, okay? Yes? Okay, the question was, if you didn't take a survey in the account, so you had no survey data, would it still be added to the list if you use that survey criteria, meaning like a null answer or something? And the answer was no. You have to have taken the survey in the account for it to find it. Okay. But it's a good idea, something we could talk more about. So there's another way, right, which is do some analytics in Good Data or where in our analytics module, and find accounts you want to create objectives in, right? Maybe you leverage survey data that's more complex than I was able to show you up there, right? So you could do a much more robust and deep analytical filtering metric thing in the dashboards and come up with a target list that you want to do the objectives in. A basic one is one of my favorites, the old sold not sold report, all right? I can say, show me accounts that bought Griffin Bay but didn't buy 6 apples during these time periods, right? And run it and put filters on it, and boom, here are the accounts that meet that criteria, how much volume they bought of the sold brand, right? So you can rank them. And I was 286 accounts. And then what you can do once you get your list is, it's an extra step, but not hard. All I gotta do is click this button or on the dashboard. Everybody knows you can download anything to Excel or a PDF. You just do that and pull it down as a CSV. And then you take that and on your objective plan screen, when you create a objective plan, instead of find accounts, you're just clicking, hey, import that CSV file and set the objectives using that. We're working on making that more streamlined, but it's a good option, okay? And then look, measure them. Measure the objectives, right? Let's say you got this objectives to get the menus in accounts that that had distribution based on the survey data. Well, and I created, 85 different objectives, 85 different accounts. Well, I got a dashboard, right? What's my win rate? Win rate means of all the objectives that have been either closed won or closed lost, what percent have been won, right? And look at them in charts and graphs, look at them by person, look at them by account, right? Roll these things up any way you want in your survey or in your dashboard data and dive through. Click on the account to drill through, et cetera. So dashboards around objective plans are a great way to summarize how this initiative worked, right? So I've successfully confused everyone. There are companies that don't want to set goals. They say, well, I don't want to set goals. Okay, well, what about objectives? Why not find some accounts that you think your people should be doing something in and set objectives for them to do that thing in that account and measure how many of those objectives they achieved and didn't achieve. Okay? That's another good way to use objective plans.